Hi, I'm Nanya. I'm the founder and the owner of Clearwater Cultures. We're a small family-run, owned, and operated business, and we live in the mountains in Idaho. We sell really unusual skincare and body care. It's made with medicinal herbs, and we grow in wildcraft over 135 of them. All organic oils, essential oils, absolutely no synthetic chemicals, no fragrances. And then what we do that's so unusual is we use live probiotic cultures and we do fermentation with our medicinal herbs and with our ingredients so that we can create what we believe is a very, very nutrient dense topical superfoods for your skin, your hair, and your overall body health and well-being. We absolutely love our probiotic cultures. Right now, there are three of us that we pretty much do everything. We don't have employees or secretaries, so we're out there milking goats, building fences, hauling hay, growing, wildcrafting, making the product, taking care of all the cultures, answering the emails and the phone, and getting the orders out, and we do all the photography, the write-ups, we built the website, so we pretty much do it all. So we get to everything as fast as we can. And unlike most people who spend most of their time online, we actually live offline most of the time. We're out here working with the plants, with the herbs, with the probiotic microbes. We go deep into the wilderness where we're wildcrafting and picking medicinal mushrooms, or we're out there milking the goats and cleaning the barn out, taking care of the animals. We do all our own vet work. We use nothing but medicinal herbs and all kinds of natural products. And we ferment our animals' food. We actually make ferments for the garden, for the inputs, for different uses in there using Korean natural farming and jadam. And so we get to live inside what we do that we create to share with you. So we don't actually spend much time on social media. We barely get our posts done because we have so much work that we prefer doing directly with the medicinal herbs and the probiotic microbes. And so we pretty much expect our products to sell themselves. We hope that the quality that we put in there and all the love and all the research that we do will create something that will really help people. And the people that spread our products through word of mouth, all of you, we so appreciate our customers because we just don't have time to do all the advertising. So I actually began my journey into probiotic cultures in 2006. But what led up to that, because Clearwater Cultures was born out of the need for us to heal our own health issues. Within my family, we had a huge high rate of cancer, autoimmune disorders, skin issues, skin cancers, and all kinds of things. And I had such a need to try to find solutions. I was born in 1959 when our mothers were drugged. They were completely asleep. I was pulled out with forceps, rubbed down with rubbing alcohol, which then massively damaged my skin microbiome, given sugar water in a bottle to drink, shot up with different types of vaccines, given all kinds of chemicals. We pretty much bought what the TV or the doctor told us. So we used all kinds of skin, hair, body care, cleaning supplies, laundry, everything full of poisonous chemicals. We permed our hair, we colored our hair, we put decades of horrific things that I put on my body, not having any idea how absorbent our skin is, and that whatever we put on our skin is in our blood in a minute and through our whole body within 5 minutes. And so the skin, being the largest organ of assimilation, was a main entry point that I didn't realize, but I was getting poisoned through. So from the time I was born, I really didn't have a developed microbiome on my skin, which is our main outer immune system and our main sensory organ. And, we absorb so much and we also detox so much through our skin. So I grew up and we had sicknesses, and we went to the doctor and we got antibiotics, and then we got sick again, and we had acne and issues and scalp issues, and we had no idea the cause or the solution. And so, as a young mother, I had kids who had ear infections, and after giving them multiple rounds of antibiotics and they didn't get well, and they had skin issues and breakouts and swellings and reactions to the drugs. So, as a young mom, I felt so frustrated because they kept giving my son antibiotics, and he would cry and cry and cry, and then they even gave him cortisone, and he got worse, and he wouldn't sleep through the night. And the frustration of being a young mom and having no answers. And one day I walked into a pharmacy just sobbing, with him sobbing, and the pharmacist said, "Well, have you ever tried peppermint oil?" And I said, "What's that?" And he gave me some peppermint oil, and I rubbed it on my son's tummy, and he stopped crying. And I was in shock. And I said, "Whatever this is, I've got to find more about this." And so, of course, those were the days way before the internet, and we had bookmobiles even out in the rural areas where I was. So I began to study pioneer and Indian medicine, because I said, well, they had to do something besides antibiotics. And so I got every book I could. I began to find old wise women that still knew things about herbs, and I was actually able to cure a really horrific 7-month battle that my husband had with staph and strep, in a really bad infection that even the antibiotics couldn't touch, IV antibiotics. And I was growing wheatgrass and had golden seal and echinacea, and it was completely gone once I started him on wheatgrass juice and golden seal and echinacea in 1 week. And I said to myself, I grew the wheatgrass for pennies, and I juiced it myself, and I saw him regrow veins where he had no veins in 1 week. So that really boosted my belief that we could go out in nature and we could find things that actually had incredible power within them. So I cleaned up my diet. I started to grow a garden, feed my kids better, read labels, which, we never even thought about such things back then. And I began to see an improvement in our health. And I started to use things like tobacco leaf tea to spray my orchard instead of pesticides and herbicides and things like that. And I began to make manure teas, and I saw more and more of a difference. And I realized that not only did I feel better, but I could sense things better. I wasn't so numb and anesthetized from the drugs, but I still didn't understand about my skin. I knew that we had to get better things in our gut, but I didn't realize how much we were still poisoning ourselves through our skin. And then my dad got skin cancer. And then I started to get some skin cancers, and a lot of members of the family had it too. And he had an organic diet, but I realized he went down to the store and bought what was ever on sale for his shampoos and his laundry and his soaps. And it started to dawn on me that what we put on our skin is having a huge impact in our overall health. So I also got a degree in education and child development. So I've worked with kids since I was 15, working in preschools and elementary, taught middle school, high school, taught kindergarten, did youth groups, Cub Scout groups. And so seeing the effect of what kids eat and what they're exposed to, and then their behavior, the outcome of that has been a lifelong study with my own kids and with all these others that I've worked with. And I started out in public school teaching kindergarten and seeing these kids come to school so enthused about learning and life and just full of just exuberance. And then I ended up teaching high school. And the kids I taught in high school later on then were kids who were, they considered failures of the system. They were kids that had been in trouble, had court records, had they were dropouts or failures, and we didn't have alternative schools back then, and so they were uh, basically told by the court that they had to come to my program, and I was supposed to help them be functional. Well, it was a fascinating learning process for me because I think I learned more from them than they may have learned from me, because I realized that they were kids that were highly intelligent. They weren't stupid. Some of them had really high IQs, and they just could see and sense things that didn't fit into public school. They were hands-on learners. They were tactile. They loved applied education, but they didn't do well with worksheets and memorizing and passing tests. So they began to teach me about organic gardening even more, and about energy, and about how what we even hold on our skin can change our energy field. And because these were really smart kids, and I started to wake up even more. And in some of these programs, there were a lot of push to put these kids on drugs, on ADHD drugs, ADD drugs, depression drugs. And when I would work with these kids, it would make them so dull and suppressed. And when they did have an incident, it would be exaggerated because it's like they held it in and then they would go off even worse. And the kids whose moms cleaned up their diets and instead gave them all kinds of great nutritional supplements, they actually were great to work with. Their attention span improved, their ability to learn and retain information improved. And so I realized more and more that instead of drugging our society, we need to give people what they need. At that time, I had kids, kids were in the younger grades in elementary, and I realized that they had the same types of learning style that the kids that I was teaching in high school who were failing. And I realized that my second grader was failing second grade because he was a hands-on learner. And he was an incredibly talented kid, but sitting with 34 kids under fluorescent lights doing worksheets all day was not his thing. So I quit working and I started to homeschool my kids, and I took them out in the wild, and I took them hiking, and we did homeschool field trips, and we did hands-on, holistic type education, applied learning, where everything was integrated and it wasn't a worksheet. And my kids just thrived, and we began to grow gardens and experiment more and more with plant medicines. And I began to see that my kids' health improved, that they weren't failures at all. They just needed the right food, the right things to learn about, and the right things on their skin. We started getting dumped on with rain, so we changed location. So I went from homeschooling. I also tried out home birth and realized what a profound experience it was after hospital births. And I started studying all kinds of herbal medicine that had to do with pregnancy and childbirth and different issues that you could have with childbirth and placentas and babies and colic, and trying more and more different medicinal herbs just with all the needs that we had as a family, and finding so many answers. And it was just such an exciting journey to realize that I could grow in my backyard things that could help my family in so many ways and improve our nutrition. And so watching these beautiful little boys of mine growing up and happy and healthy and so full of life and creativity and imagination And I even wrote a fun book called Creative Play Areas that you can find on our website, where my mom and I collaborated and made all kinds of creative things to develop my kids' imagination and creativity, and of course all the neighborhood and the Cub Scouts that came there too. So years and years of loving herbal medicine, and yet in 2006 I hit a wall where I was facing some really, really big health issues, issues with kids, with life, with finances, with many things. And I felt like I had no answers. And so I did a lot of prayer and meditation, trying to figure out where to go next. I'd spent years studying different types of alternative medicine, mind-body connection, energy medicine, different types of energy techniques, emotional release techniques. And so I'd been working for a long time understanding how much our mind and our body are connected, and how we feel, and the terrain and the environment that we're living in, and how that's affecting us. And I was weeding out more and more of every type of chemical I could find on the property and replacing it with something natural. So after all this prayer meditation, I had an experience with an idea that I'd never considered in my entire life. And I was shown that the answer to my problems, to all my questions about money and kids and health issues, were all going to be solved with one thing. And it was just something so new that I just remember thinking, what? And I was shown that I needed to gather single cell probiotic microbes from nature and from ancient tribes that had grown these probiotic mother cultures for thousands and thousands of years. I hadn't even thought of single cell microbes. I thought to myself, I haven't had biology since school. Like, what? How do I do this? But I knew I would be led. And I knew that if I listened to my heart and my soul, that one step at a time, it would be opened up to me. And it was. I began to gather information about what probiotic cultures were. This was 2006. This is before, especially in our rural area, we had much access to internet. We didn't have a lot of information in America on probiotic cultures. I began getting information from Australia and Russia and Eastern Asia and places that had always retained their culturing practices. In the inspiration, the epiphany that came to me, I was shown that to heal, I needed to get probiotic cultures in my gut, on my skin, my hair, all over my body, in my house, in my yard, in my garden, on my animals, in the air, in everything around me, until I actually grew a probiotic biobubble that I would live in. And that our health issues were caused because we were full of poisons and parasites and pollutants and heavy metals and things that should not be in our bodies. And that I needed to get those out, and I needed to get nutrition in. And that the single cell probiotic microbes were going to be able to do this for me. And I just remember thinking, okay. And the thing that was really mind-blowing too is that I was shown that the probiotic microbiome of the earth is the divine way. It's God's way, the truth, and the life. And it's W-A-Y and W-H-E-Y. It's what leavens and what multiplies and what increases the nutrition, the bioavailability to our body, to deliver it right into our inner cells. And it is truly the way. Because what happened is, one by one, I was led to different probiotic cultures or culturing practices of how to gather single cell microbes. And I gathered the different cultures, and I began doing different experimentation with different techniques. I really didn't have much information. There wasn't hardly anything in America at that time about fermenting medicinal herbs to make some types of, medicinal medicine for skin, hair, body care. And so I just started to try things. And I would put together herbal combinations, and I would do different types of fermentation soaks and cultures with them, using things like goat milk kefir, like kombuchas, different types of vinegars, LAB, all kinds of lacto fermentation, and seeing what kind of results I got. And then trying it on all our own issues, our hair issues. I had the first 50 years of my life, my hair never grew past here. It was thin, brittle. I had scalp issues. And I realize now it's because I poisoned myself, and because that's all we knew. So after that, I started to make my own shampoo and used live probiotic cultures on my hair and scalp. My dandruff went away, my oily scalp went away. I could go days without washing it and still looked great. And my hair began to grow for the first time in my life. And it's down to here now, and I'm 65. And it's so amazing to realize that poisons don't have to stay in us forever. We can detox from them, and we can rebuild our cells. And the probiotic microbiome is so exciting because it actually works with the regulatory gene in our DNA. It can help our genes to express correct healthy traits and stop expressing things that, yeah, we may have inherited them, but we don't have to express unhealthy traits. And it can help stop abnormal growths. When the cells start to produce abnormal cells that grow into weird things like cancers, the probiotic microbiome can even work with that. It enhances nutrition. It enhances medicinal properties. It helps the cells detox. And so I didn't know any of this back then. I just went on faith, and I started to gather the cultures. And I began to ferment my goat milk with kefir grains that came from different places around the world. And I watched my granddaughter, who is actually the one filming this video, as a little tiny little girl with massive digestive issues from being born and having her stomach pumped, and having damage there. I watched her go from not being able to eat solid food and digest hardly anything, and having a big bloated gut, to thinning right up, getting lots of nutrition in, and being able to eat just with goat milk kefir. And I was just so excited to have that happen. And now here she is. She's 13. She's our photographer here, our video editor. She milks goats, she weed whips, she helps go deep into the Idaho wilderness to gather medicinal mushrooms and herbs. She does so many things around the farm. So Ava also she's in charge of our chickens. She helps with all the herb drying, and she now has her own line of bath tea. So you'll have to check those out. So each member of the family that comes into the business, we help get them going. We help, buy product and things that they might need, containers and things like that, and teach them how to do labeling. And they learn one step at a time. My daughter was raised in the business, and now she has a full line of products that she makes. Shanti makes the deodorants, the hydrosols, the bath soaks, the lip balms, the liquid soaps. I'm probably forgetting a few. Destiny makes all the amazing face creams, the masks. She does all the mushroom tinctures, the pine pollen, the elderberry. She does a lot of hiking way into the wilderness. We always go after the most pristine medicinal mushrooms and herbs, and we are trying to add more and more every year because we want to grow everything we can. So our focus is on quality, because we didn't really go into this to create a business. We went into this as women and as mothers to heal the sicknesses in our kids and on our own in our own bodies. I had kids who had acne, they had eczema, they had scalp issues, psoriasis, vitiligo, multitudes of different gut issues, lots of digestive issues. And so when we added the probiotic cultures into our what we ferment to eat, and as also our skin, hair, body care, we started to see issues that no medicinal herb would touch. But if you fermented the medicinal herbs, things started to clear up so much faster. And I realized that the probiotic microbiome enhances the speed at which healing occurs. And so we experimented on us. Pretty much all of our products were developed for some issue somebody in the family or the neighborhood had. And then we would go to work, figure out which herbs to put together, how to ferment them, how to formulate, and then try it on ourselves and see if it worked. And then if it worked, keep improving it. And then we had more and more people who wanted to try, and then we thought, well, we'll offer it to the public. And so about 11 years ago, we started sharing publicly the cultures that we grow. And the culture is made of a SCOBY, a symbiotic colony of beneficial individuals. It's a model for humanity, and every mother probiotic culture is a SCOBY. So you have lots of little individual cells, and they all work together symbiotically as one colony. Not a commune, but a colony, which means they're completely self-sustainable. They produce all their own, pretty much, ability to pass on 100% of their genetic code to every generation. The probiotic microbiome has the fastest gene transfer in the entire world, the fastest communication system, faster than all technology, than all AI, and the fastest transportation system. I've come to realize that the probiotic microbiome, it's in the soil, it's in the air, it's in the water, it's in the plants, it's in the animals, and it's in humans where we don't kill it. And it's cross-communicating and exchanging information, and it updates all the time. So it's more on top of things than any other life form on the planet, because it's the way, it's the connecting link between everything. And when, growing up with no skin and gut microbiome, or pretty damaged at least, except maybe when I went out in nature, I probably got some. And then going to where my hair, my skin, my world now is that living probiotic microbiome bubble. I have 50 cultures growing in my house. I have cultures all over the farm here. My goats are fed probiotic cultures. We have cultures throughout our houses. And of course, we use all our own products, and we're always experimenting, trying to come up with new formulations for whatever the newest health issues that humanity has, especially since 2020. So a lot of what we do is research and development, and pretty much everything we make on product goes right back into more, deeper understanding of how do we work with the probiotic microbiome, this incredible gift that our Creator has given to us, that all of the ancient tribes who have grown these cultures for over 5,000 years, no matter what their origin or language, they all have the same story, that the probiotic microbiome is a gift from our Creator for the health and the well-being of humanity, especially in the times that we're living in right now. And I believe with my entire heart and soul that it can do more to pull the pollutants, the poisons, the parasites, the toxins, the venoms, the technology out of our body, and bring the nutrition in that we need, the minerals, the microbes, the plants. And it can enhance our sensory perception, because growing up with chemicals on my skin compared to now, when I put probiotic cultures on me day and night, I'm covered with different spectrums of probiotic microbes. And my ability to connect with the probiotic microbiome in nature and sense things now and in my family is so profound. I didn't know what I didn't have because I was drugged, anesthetized, and numbed before by synthetic chemicals. And I will never put them on my skin ever again. I can't imagine doing that to my microbiome. So when we're connected to the microbiome and we have it all over us, and as the biodiversity of the skin microbiome grows, that's a connection too to the microbiome inside animals and plants and all of nature. And there's at least 10 probiotic microbes to every one human cell, and they have 99 times or more gene potential. So they can actually teach our cells how to go from an unwell, imbalanced state into a really healthy state. They help with intuition and with divine synchronicities, because that's the biological field that we live in. And so things line up more when we're covered with the microbiome, when we're living inside a microbiome bubble. And these are just some of my cultures here behind me with some artwork, and they have a lot of flower lives around them, because the microbiome is so intelligent. And for people who know me, they know I'm kind of one of those people who have a sense with kids after raising 9 kids, 3-step kids, multiple other kids here, teaching so many kids through the years. You learn to read body language. You learn to read the sense of where they're at. Are they getting tired? What do they need? A baby can't just tell you. And so that intuitive feminine sense that isn't just in women, it can be in anybody, but that extra sense that we have is related so much to the microbiome. Our gut is full of water, full of the microbes. Our skin, we sense our field, we sense the connection in our energy field to all the living life forms in nature. And so to see and feel that enhance in my family has just been spectacular, and in myself as well. And my hope is that by growing probiotic microbes and growing medicinal herbs and bringing the wildness together of the microbiome with all these different herbs, that will enhance the microbial biodiversity of our skin and our energy field, so that we become more and more off the charts of all control systems. We're too wild to just lock on and target. We're covered with a living probiotic microbiome that's constantly updating and changing and sharing genes and adapting and communicating with the entire microbiome throughout the whole world. And so that there's not just an elite few of the microbiome that get information. It goes everywhere. It's the most profound system. It truly is a SCOBY. Everything works together symbiotically, and it teaches us humans how we can do that too, how we can be a SCOBY in our families, in our communities, in our whole world, that we don't have to be divided and against each other, because it's about uniting and uniting in our uniqueness. Because in a SCOBY, it's a symbiotic colony of beneficial individuals, sovereign souls, individuals, one of a kind, unique. And as I worked more and more with the microbiome, I began to realize that it operates in the language of sacred geometry, that it's a structured and coherent system. It has quantum coherence. And that means every single cell of a probiotic culture is organized in the flower of life and in the sacred geometry of the star tetrahedron, or the Merkaba, which is the union of all opposites into a harmonious center where there's no friction, there's no conflict, there's no competition and control and criticism and conformity. It's all harmony and things flow. And that's why the microbiome can leaven things. It can make more nutrients, more vitamins than anything added to the original formula. It literally creates nutrients out of thin air. And it can do that because it has 0 point energy that it makes. It's a perfectly balanced, coherent system. And so all opposite polarities, energy, matter, electromagnetic, male, female, up, down, forward, backwards, past, future, it doesn't matter. Within the microbiome, it's all perfectly balanced and it's all in harmony. And so it requires no outside energy. It doesn't create harmful waste products, and it produces its own energy. And it's here to teach us humans how to do the same. So my hope in sharing probiotic cultures with you is that you will want to do your own fermentation, start to grow your own living herbs, try your own hand at fermenting different things. You could do teas, you could do kombuchas, water kefir, milk kefir, lacto ferments, ferment your vegetables, ferment your bath teas, try whatever, and fall in love with probiotic cultures the way that we have here. And if you don't want to do it yourself, try ours. Try putting different cultures on your skin and realize that these products will never be the same for any two people. The probiotic microbiome is going to read your energy field, your biochemistry, and it's going to form novel proteins, nutrients, micronutrients, everything that you need. And I can take that same product and put it on somebody else, and they have a completely different biochemistry, different genetics, different energy field, and the microbiome is going to respond to them with what they need. And cultures age. My favorite cultures are ones I don't even sell. They're back from the early 2000s, and I've been fermenting them for over a decade. And I absolutely love to put those on my skin, and the experience of the wisdom that grows within these cultures. And they're highly intelligent, they're alive, they're constantly reading everything going on in our environment and then forming new novel updates in what they produce to handle whatever the new toxin is or new pathogen. And so we have lots of different cultures, and we're always developing more, and we have way more than we sell because we can't quite keep up with everything yet. But our hope is through our connection here in our beautiful local community, where we have naturopaths, chiropractors, massage therapists, herbalists, midwives, and we're all working together, and we're all health researchers. And we look deeply into the current situation in the world, and we're pretty red-pilled, and we're looking to come up with solutions to what's happening to humanity so that we can keep what makes us human, what gives us empathy and compassion and connection through our heart and through our soul to each other, what brings us together like a SCOBY. And to have those microbiome, single cell microbes in us to help us to learn to overcome our differences, to work together in harmony, to learn to flow with nature and not have to control and manage and judge and manipulate and dominate others, as we may have been taught or as could have been shown to us. But we don't have to stay in those patterns, because all of nature
is this beautiful, living, flowing, loving, caring system that spontaneously from one seed can give us 100 fruit, that all we have to do is nurture and nourish and care for things. And my motto with this business is self-nurture with nature and create the experience of love. I have to take my own advice, and every night I spend half hour, 45 minutes, and I take all kinds of different cultures and different herbal products, and I just listen intuitively. Where do I need to put this on my body? And you'll get better and better at it, where you'll just have this feeling like, oh, your left foot really needs rubbed with this, or, oh, I have this ache in my back, or something will just itch like it's saying, I need that. And sometimes, when you send a probiotic culture and medicinal herbs in to correct a problem, the itch can get worse because it's going in there and it's taking apart everything that should not be in the body, that's causing harm to the body. And as it detoxes that, the itch is our body's natural way of saying stimulate your lymphatic system by rubbing, by touching, by brushing, by moving that part so you can help the detox process and you can get the toxin or the poison or the pathogen out faster and get rid of it. And so I encourage you to use our products realizing they're highly intelligent. I'm selling you mini gardens of live probiotic cultures and herbal medicine and all kinds of natural nutrition, superfood nutrition. And it's there not to make you like everybody else. It's there to awaken your intuition, your imagination, your true spiritual connection directly to your creator that created all of nature and gave us all this for our health and our well-being. So use our products intuitively and realize the cultures won't always smell the same. They won't always feel the same because they're constantly updating and adapting. And use them with love. Rub them into you. Nurture yourself. Bathe in them. And think good thoughts and feel positive, uplifting feelings. Listen to music. Light a candle. Whatever it takes. Bring some wonderful flowers in from nature and take time to nurture yourself with what our creator made, not what's going to numb you and anesthetize you and cut you off from nature and wall you off with this synthetic cage, but instead open your senses up and connect back to nature, back to this absolutely beautiful earth that we have, to all these amazing creations by regrowing your probiotic microbiome. Whether you make your own cultures, whether you use ours, whatever, go out in nature. Take your kids out in nature. Let them roll around. Let them play in the dirt. Let them connect with animals and with plants. And let's go back to what humanity is really about, which is love and connection and harmony and peace, where nobody has to control anybody because we're all alive and we're all so aware of our surroundings and our environment because we're living back with a probiotic microbiome culture in us and all around us. So I'm going to try to continue with more videos, and I'm going to go deeper into the microbiome with each one, including more about the sacred geometry, about the language of the microbiome, how it works with the body, and different ways that I have used it and experienced health benefits that maybe they'll work for you, maybe they won't. I'm not giving any medical advice. I'm not a licensed healthcare provider. I'm pretty much just an intuitive empath that just loves nature and tries to connect directly with nature and directly with our Creator and learn there. And I hope you have a blessed and a bountiful day. Thank you.